Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry. Welcome to the Speakers Magazine show, where we are on all of the podcast places as well as YouTube and also on Roku. So, YouTube and Roku as well. So, today's show is going to be a little bit different. We're talking with the speaker, but we're also talking about speaker branding. And the gentleman that I have, Markeith Braden, who's our guest today, I'll bring up in shortly, is really talks about really building a profitable brand in a business you love. And I have been personally watching Markeith for a long time. He knows his stuff. You want to go to his website and subscribe to his weekly newsletter. He also has a podcast as well. But one of the things that we're going to get into is that before you even speak, people judge the brand, right? So even if you are speaking, they're still judging the brand. So we're going to talk about how to maximize and monetize your personal brand, because that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, how their stages can really help them maximize their brand, especially if you're a speaker. So with that, I'm going to bring up Markeith. Hey!
Hey, thank you for having me on today.
Oh, good, good. Well, like I said, I have been watching you for a minute. It's been a minute. So I am so glad that you finally had an opportunity to come on the show. And we just really chop it up about personal branding. But before we get into that and really like the teaching mode, because I know we both love that, is really give us a little bit of your background and how you really have a passion for why you have a passion for branding and that sort of thing.
So interesting. Well, once again, thank you for having me on your show. I'm always excited to be on other podcasts outside of my own. And having a podcast, one of the things that I realized, I was like, I need to be on more other expert shows instead of just always doing interviews and things like that. So I'm so excited to be here. But once again, Markeith Braden, personal brand strategist, speaker. Been in business for the last 9 years, 5 years full time in my business. And how did I get to this place? Well, to be honest with you, I was forced to be in this
Mm.
place in the sense that in 2014, I got a knock on my office door to let me know that my position was going to be dissolved and I was being laid off.
Mm.
And in that moment of being laid off, I had the decision to make. I knew I had this passion for speaking and this passion for helping others to really align with their purpose and realize their best life. And I knew I wanted to pursue that dream of mine, but was that the right time? And I decided it was the right time. And I decided that I was not going to go back to the traditional 9 to 5, and I was going to pursue my dream of becoming a professional speaker, starting a coaching business, and really pursuing what I believe God has called me to do in the marketplace.
I
But
love
most
that.
of that really started really back in college when I listened to Patricia McLeod. She came
Mm.
to
Dr. Patricia McLeod. Yes.
Yeah,
Love
she
her.
came
Love
to
her.
our alma mater, which she's a alumni of Kentucky State University.
I
And
didn't know.
from that day forward, when I heard her speak, I knew that this was what I wanted to do from
Are
that
you
day.
serious? Oh my goodness. That is,
Yes.
does she know that? Does she
I
know
don't
that?
know that I actually have never personally met her. I
I
just
think,
remember
I
her
I
coming
think
to speak that year.
yes. And a lot of times speakers, and that's why I just love speakers so much. You never know what the seeds you plant, how they're going to
Mm,
blossom and bloom. And I know that I heard her years ago as well at a Black
mhm.
enterprise. And this was probably maybe about 20 years or so ago.
Okay.
So and I just thought she was phenomenal. And she does still speak. Actually, on the Speakers Magazine Instagram, I posted a picture of her and her bio, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, I've never heard of her. And it's just like you'd have to, because she went to she's alma mater of your
Yeah.
university, and Black Enterprise had heard of her, but it's like she was like one of the first, I guess you would say, real trainers that I had ever
Mhm.
really heard speak, from the
Yeah.
platform. And it's a lot of
Yes.
men, Markeith, a lot of men in the speaking industry. We got Les Brown and Willie
Mhm.
Jolly, and go on, Dr. Del Toro, and
Right.
sort of thing, but not that many women outside of like Lisa Nichols. And so
Yeah.
she was the first woman that I really heard speak from the stage really powerfully. So
Powerful.
I
Yeah.
would love for you to tell her that, and
Yeah.
maybe the three of us can do a podcast together. I don't know if she does podcasts and things like that. She still looks great. I mean, I would say she is north of 75.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure. It would have been about 20. This was maybe my freshman or sophomore year in college, which was 97, 98.
Mhm.
So yeah, it would have been almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and
a
she
little
still
bit more
looks
than 20,
great.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, she still looks great. So, one of the things the legend in the speaking industry, they did not have social media, right? They didn't
Right.
have they had like a headshot, and then they would just say, "Do you have it as a glossy picture?" You know, that kind of thing. So, I love that story. So, I did not know that about you because I love her as well. And that's one of the things that I know speakers can change lives. So, go on, tell us the rest of the
Well,
story.
had you not asked me that question, I don't know if I really would have thought about it until that moment. But yeah, she was one of the first that I heard speak from the stage in a powerful, inspiring way. And what was interesting, not long after that, it was my sophomore year, summer of my sophomore year, I got my very first paid speaking engagement with my church at the time, the United Methodist Men in
Mhm.
Nashville, brought me home to be the guest speaker, and they gave me a check of $500. And so from that day
What?
forward,
It's like, "This what I'm gonna do." That was the easiest
from that
$500 you
day
probably ever
forward,
made.
that's it. That day forward, I knew it was what I was eventually going to do.
And do
For
you remember what you spoke on?
I don't remember, but I'm sure I have it somewhere on a piece of paper because I save everything. I save
Okay.
everything. So
Yes, yes. And
sure I have it
it's
written
funny
down
because
somewhere.
it was probably one of your signature things that you say all the time, and like you said,
Mhm.
when there's an exchange of money for something that flows out of us so naturally, you kinda know, like, "This is what I'm born to do."
That's it.
And it's a United Methodist?
The United Methodist Men of my church. I grew up United Methodist. Mhm.
Okay, so I wanna say Rudy Rasmus is in United Methodist, and,
Okay.
he's the pastor of Beyonce. He's
Oh,
out of
okay.
Houston,
Okay.
and United
Okay.
Methodist, or either is it Carlisle Stewart? I get it confused. There's
Okay.
Hope United Methodist, which is he's a powerful speaker as well. So,
Mhm.
for a lot of Black speakers, we do look up to,
Mhm.
ministers. You know, I can
Mhm.
name a lot of ministers, obviously, Martin Luther King, obviously, he's a minister, he's a great orator, but a lot of the
And he's a
speakers.
great alpha man too.
Oh, he sure is. I saw that on the bio there as well. So they'll read the official bio in the show notes. But yeah, I saw he was an alpha man as well. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. But the thing that I see that like Willie Jolly is also a
Mhm.
minister, or
Mhm.
even like George Frazier kind of preaches a little bit. I mean, so it's almost in our culture sometimes
Yeah.
that those platforms were offered to us in the church. They weren't
Right.
necessarily in corporate areas at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So making the transition now, you did the your first paid gig, you know, not your
Mhm.
first speaking gig, but your first
Yeah.
paid gig in the church. Then how did you make the shift to do more of the corporate things and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So while I was working in my professional career after college and graduate school, I was working in healthcare.
Okay.
And well, I had three different careers, which is interesting. But between healthcare and education,
Okay.
provided me plenty of opportunities to speak. And here's what I want the listening audience to really grab hold of is that even within your professional careers, your 9 to 5s, what are people calling you on the most to do? And what
Mm,
I found in my career, I was always being called on to do presentations. I was always being called on to give words of encouragement or to be the MC of an
MC.
event.
Yeah.
And so I began to really fully understand that this wasn't just a passion, but this was also purpose. This was
Mhm.
also a natural gift that God had given me in order to do the things that I'm called to do in the world. And so I began to really hone that. And that's through mentorship. And so I started following people like Les Brown and
Mhm.
Willie Jolly
Yes.
and Stedman Graham, and
Yeah.
started looking to those individuals because they were doing similar things, being authors and speakers and presenting. And so I started studying them as speakers. And
Mm,
so the first step I would say is study individuals whom you feel like you're most aligned to, who's doing what it is that you want to do on the
mhm.
level that you want to do it on.
Yeah.
And that's what I started doing, was studying these great speakers. Now, I really was most aligned with Dr. Willie Jolly.
Yes.
And that is because Dr. Willie Jolly would always utilize his ability to sing in his talks.
So you sing too?
And I sing as well.
There you
And
go. Oh my God.
but one of the things that I would usually not do was not necessarily let that be known to my audiences, because I wanted to have some type of surprise
Yes.
for people in the audience to be able to kind
Speaking
of
of a
capture their attention with
speaking of a
something.
surprise, Markeith. So
Oh, look at there.
he wants to say hello. So this is you were talking his language there. He was like, okay, use your gift. So
Okay.
so this is Peppy. He usually makes an appearance once in a while, but only if he really, really likes the speaker. I
And
want to
what's
say
his
this,
name?
Peppy. Peppy.
Peppy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say this though. One of the gifts that I see that you have,
Hmm.
is it your voice quality. So it's not
Hmm.
surprising that you do sing because you have that voice quality, but you probably have done voiceovers or
Hmm.
people love to hear good voices.
Right.
And so I
Right.
can hear that how people would have probably asked you before you even knew it was your gift, like to MC, to
To
give
MC.
words of encouragement, to be the first
Hmm.
person to, why don't you say some words, Markeith? And it's like,
Hmm.
why are people always asking? It's because of the voice quality.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
that is so good. So
And so you
Willie
take note of
Jolly.
that.
Mhm, mhm,
You take
yeah,
note of those things, and for I think for a long time I took it for granted, right?
yeah,
You know,
'cause it's
why are people always drawn to me, or why are they asking me to do this, and why are they
mhm,
asking me to do that? Because there was a period of time where you have to grow in confidence to do these
yes,
things, right?
you do, you
And
do.
stand before people. And so as time went on, I started to develop more of my speaking and start to develop more in learning how to build a business around it. But then I
That's
also
key.
transitioned into ministry. And
Okay,
so I'm
okay.
also a
Willie
licensed and
too,
ordained minister as well.
Willie is too,
And, that gave me more opportunity to speak
yes,
before audience. It gave me more opportunity to learn how to develop sermons, develop
mhm,
talks, to understand 3 points and a close,
mhm, mhm.
and
The
all of
close,
those types
a
of
lot of those
things.
ministers don't know how to close. They close like 3 times, okay? It's like, "We gotta get out of here," Yeah, we kinda tease it.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that development happened, and fast forward to back to the layoff, I just made a decision. Prior to being laid off, one of the decisions that I did make was I hired a coach about a
Mhm.
year and a half prior to being laid off,
Wow,
because I
that
knew I
was
wanted to
kinda
build a business.
intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to build a business. And like I said, I'm the type of person that I'm willing to invest in myself
Mhm,
with other people who are doing what it is that I want to do on the level that I want to do it on. And
mhm.
while I had that additional income to be able to invest in myself while I was working, I decided to do that.
That is so good. A lot of people will not do that. They have a dream and it always stays a dream, it always stays a wish.
Mhm.
But you knew that one day that you wanted to have your own business, not just
Right.
necessarily speaking, but a business. And
Mhm.
looking at the benchmarks in the field,
Yeah.
studying them, did you notice there was a pattern of why Willie Jolly or Les Brown or even TD Jakes for that matter,
Mhm.
why they were getting such, notoriety and being called to speak, and I'm trying to give a leading question about
Yeah.
was it their brand?
Well, it was their brand, but let me share this with you. I revisited a video podcast that I did sometime last year. And there was one word that stood out to me in revisiting that video that helped me to understand branding in just one word. Really, branding is connection.
Mm,
That when you think of your brand, you should be thinking of how does this connect to the people that are aligned with my message or with my business or with what I am providing as a service.
Mm-hmm.
That you want to be able to make a connection to the people who are drawn to you. And ultimately, that's what branding does. We
And
kind of sometimes get it mixed up with marketing.
right,
But
right.
marketing is just really promoting and yelling loud to let people know you're here.
Mm-hmm.
But your branding really should draw people.
And people should recognize it. They should
Yes.
recognize it whether you're speaking, at the Boy Scouts, at the
Mhm.
Toastmaster, or in
Mhm.
the church. They know the Markeith brand or they know the
Yes.
Pam Perry brand because they
Yes.
recognize it. They have connected with it. So
That's
it's
it.
say for instance, if I started, I don't know, if I started speaking somewhere and all I talk about is, I don't know, say science and math, right? I
Mhm.
talk about STEM, which I don't. And then I go somewhere else and I speak at a book a author's event and I start talking about
Mhm.
PR and marketing. It's like, well, that's not the same person. So a
Yeah.
speaker does have to have a brand that connects with the audience that, like you said, who they're trying to serve.
That's it.
So primarily when you're speaking in churches or
Mhm.
corporations, or are you doing speaker training as well? What are some of the business silos, I guess you would say, that you have found 2014, so that's
Almost 9
almost,
years.
yeah, almost 9
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what is, over the 10 years or so, over the decade, what are some of the
Yeah.
businesses that you have found? I will say this, Markeith,
Mhm.
most entrepreneurs, especially the nouveau entrepreneurs over the last decade or so,
Yeah.
have really become entrepreneurs because of situations like that.
Mhm.
Myself included, when I was actually working with my husband in his business,
Okay.
and his business went out of business. And that's
Mm.
when my company really birthed, Ministry Marketing Solutions. He went on and got a job. We had a daughter
Mhm.
to support.
Right.
And at that point, I said, okay, you made a go of it for 10 years.
Let me
Give me
try it.
a chance.
Yeah.
And it's been 20. And now he has his own
Wow.
company as well. But it was like a situation where it's like, oh my God, okay, what am I going to do? And so I had to really look at myself and say, what is it do I really, really want to do? And at that point, it was really to help people market their messages, the
Mhm.
message, meaning ministry messages, inspirational messages, but
Mhm.
Ministry Marketing Solutions was the name of the formal name of the corporation that created. But so yeah, so 10 years later, Markeith is doing all the different things. Did you see you doing the things that you're doing now, or did they kind of create those businesses or services as you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that they were created over time. I
Hmm.
never I never thought that, 2015, it was when I started the podcast. I
And that was
never thought about podcasting until I forced myself into this entrepreneur space and I had to ask the question, how will people know I do what I do?
yes, yes, and you have
And
that
in
great book.
asking that question
Yeah.
outside of speaking from the stage or doing workshops, the next best thing for me was to start a podcast. That and
Mhm.
if I could encourage, the listening audience again, what is the most inclined natural thing for
Mhm.
you to do to market yourself?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
That
for
is.
me, it was podcasting. For you, it may be blogging. For you, it may be vlogging as video. It depends on what that comes natural to you. And for me, of course, it was speaking. So the most natural thing for me to do was to create a podcast and have weekly content come from that podcast. And so that was a piece that I never thought about, but it was a piece that was coming of age. And what
Yes,
did I
in
do?
2015, podcasting
Yeah,
was still relatively new. A lot of
it was
people
still
weren't
relatively new.
even didn't even know where to listen to them.
Yeah, and so the
And
thing that I
definitely
did was the same thing I did when I got laid off. I found a podcast program and I
took that
purchased
course.
it and I got in that
Mhm,
mastermind and
mhm.
from John Lee Dumas,
Oh,
Podcasters
yeah, yeah.
Paradise.
Yes,
Yes.
Entrepreneur on Fire. There you go.
Entrepreneur on Fire. And
He's a
I did his
benchmark in the
program.
podcasting world. That's so true. That is so
Yeah,
true.
did
And
his
Pat Flynn, I believe,
program
as well.
and
Mhm.
had a podcast. And so here I am, 2015, 8 years later,
Yes.
still have that podcast, over 200 plus episodes in the tank and moving forward with that as
Mhm.
marketing. in
Yes.
addition to, identifying speaking engagements and opportunities for me to continue to build a business, which I think is the number one way still. That if you can get in
For
front of an
speakers.
audience,
Yes.
stand
Mhm.
on a stage, share your story, share your message, and in front of people, and they have listening ears, and then be able to close them in your offers or your services or your products in the back of the room, it's a gold mine.
Do you, and this is a personal question, and some people
Yeah.
are really kind of squeamish about it. Do you pay to be on stages, or do you speak for free, or is it always for a fee?
So I have never actually paid to be on the stage. I
Okay.
have spoken for free, or it is usually a fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's different models for speaking,
Hmm.
and they call it speak to sell and whatever. Sometimes if you know, and this is just for speakers in general, if you know your target audience is, say, I don't know, South by Southwest, whatever.
Right.
Okay, I'm just saying if it is, and you would love to speak at South by Southwest, and they
Mhm.
have an opportunity where say, hey, you could speak at our conference. Our conference, you're quote unquote a sponsor, and the sponsors get 15 minutes on the stage.
Right.
Now, you can say, "No, I wanna be selected, and I wanna be, paid $5,000," or you could be in front of your ideal audience and make $30,000. So, it's just different ways to look at it, and so the speaking
Mhm.
industry is so different now than
Right.
probably 10 years ago. So
Right.
people have to understand there's different ways, and it's a
Mhm.
business model. It's a legitimate business model for people to pay to
Right.
sponsors. I mean, I can name several conferences I know over the last few years where people have paid to be on stages and
Mhm.
some up to thousands of dollars, but they
Yeah.
have to know how to recoup it back, and that's the business side that
Right.
and the branding that they need to have in
Right.
place first before you start jumping and being on people's stages, because you could then waste your time and your
Because you
money.
wanna make sure that your target market is there, and when I say I haven't paid to be on stages, maybe not in exchange of physical money, but I have, looked for opportunities that maybe, let's say there's a conference in Nashville. I've done this several times. There was a women's conference coming to Nashville. I found the person who was hosting the conference. I presented a workshop idea, for them. They accepted it, asked me to come. I paid in energy and time
Right.
because it was still a free opportunity, but I knew that my target
Target
market would be in
audience.
that space,
Yes, that's smart,
right?
that's smart. So
Mhm,
one of the things that I want speakers who have a gift like you,
mhm,
and you like to speak, and you know that people have always asked you to share stories, share
mhm,
your message, and you have a passion to want to serve people,
mhm,
how is it that they can, I guess you say, stepwise go into the next level? Because
mhm.
you've gotta make it a business. And
Yeah,
so, give you an example. So Cheryl Wood, Dr. Cheryl Wood, she's a
yeah.
cover of the magazine coming up. She's been on the cover a few times, but she's coming up. So she has she trains other speakers,
Mhm.
coaches and trains them, membership program, obviously books, obviously stage speaking. There are just a lot of different, I guess you would say, streams of income that you have. So what are some of the ones that you think the speaker should look at? And, maybe they don't have
Yeah.
a good coach. Maybe they just know how to speak, but they can't teach other people how to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a great question because in 2023, there's so many
Yes.
revenue streams you can create. And being paid to speak is great, but it's not infinite. It's
Yeah.
finite,
Yeah.
meaning that if you just want to be a keynote speaker and get on stages, you may find yourself running rapid all over the country. And that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
But there
Mhm.
are opportunities now where you can speak from the stage for free and enroll people into a group coaching program that you have.
Yes, that's it.
You can have opportunity where I'm an Amazon influencer.
Mhm.
And so there
Mhm.
may be
Me
some
too.
products and services that other speakers need. And so you're doing live streams around your particular niche and topic. But then now you have this opportunity where you have an Amazon storefront
Mhm.
that people
Affiliate.
can go to and get those items that you recommend for speakers or for podcasters or for,
Yeah.
whatever it is your niche is. That's an
Um,
opportunity to get affiliate income.
Affiliate
Then you
income
have
is huge.
opportunities where you sh I should have a book. I don't have one yet, and I
Not
need to
yet,
be
but it's
writing
probably
one.
coming. Mhm.
Yeah, and so there's an opportunity now for you to sell your book on top of doing your speaking. And so we can't just look at speaking as keynote speaking or doing workshops. There's so many myriad of ways for us to be able to create streams of income for ourselves. I love to live stream, and if anybody knows anything about my brand, one of the things I'm most consistent is you're going to see some type of live stream 2 or 3 times a week
Okay.
from me,
Okay.
because that's an opportunity for me to get into the algorithm. That's an opportunity for me to get in front of people. That's an
Mhm.
opportunity for people to be consistent with me. And I got this kind of aha moment sitting in my car one day, and I have satellite radio. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll listen to the Joel Osteen channel.
Mhm.
And it hit me one day. I was like, this is 24/7.
Yeah.
That these things are on rotate 24/7 on this channel. And I was like, why couldn't I do that with my live streams? I have enough content to where I could go to one stream live and upload at least 10 or 20, schedule them every day at a specific time. And I have really my own running network on
Yeah.
my social media channels.
I love that. That is so true. That is so true. It is it's so changed now. And
Yeah.
Roku as well. And all the
Yeah.
other ones as well.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many different ones where
Right.
content can be placed. And, one of the things that and Markeith, I didn't do this, but one of the things that people can do is put little commercials in their own
That's right.
podcast.
That's right.
And I have to get better at that. So I'm going to show you my podcast commercial that I put in here. And this
Okay.
is as an example because I do PR and that sort of thing. A lot of people know
Yeah.
that. But one of the things that I want people to understand is that we can do this. And this is just a quick way of doing this. So I'll show this real quick.
Awesome.
Here we go. Hey, this is Pam Perry, really giving you a PR pep talk. How to get publicity. What can it do for you? Why do you need it? What's it do? How much it costs? I'm going to answer those questions in a sec. So what can quick media coverage do? It can help you increase your visibility online, extend your reach, stand out from the crowd, higher ranking on Google so you can get found. SEO is important. That's what PR can do for you, for sure. So when you're ready, go to pamperrypr.com. Love for you to get out there and get known. Get in all of the media that you see on the website, pamperrypr.com. Take a pic of the packages for the PR on pamperrypr.com. All righty. We'll see you there. So
That's
that
so
was my
good.
commercial.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
And that
That's
was
really
just
good.
and I have to remember, and
Mhm.
I've been podcasting for a while, but I've very rarely will put a commercial in because I'm so engaged with the conversation like I am with
Yeah.
you. And it was like, you know what? We do podcasts. So let's put this
Mhm.
commercial in here because people are like, well, how do you make money from the podcast? You can
Mhm.
make money from different ways of doing the podcast, but also putting a commercial in there about what you
That's right.
do is really, really important. Obviously, they'll see it in the show notes, but if
Yeah.
they're listening, because this is video and audio pod, if they're listening, then they'll say, "Oh, okay,
Mhm.
this is what she does." So yeah, so I had to give an example. That
Yeah.
was a quick commercial that I did using a tool called Animato, and
Okay.
it was one of those things where you could stop it and start it. And so I use it on Instagram a lot. I just changed the beginning, the first two slides, and the last
Mhm.
slide is always the same. This says, "So when you're ready, go to quickmediacoverage.com," that kind of thing. So yeah, it has to be something that's easy for me and it
Mhm.
can't be overcomplicated because we're moving too fast. So podcasting is
Yeah.
easy, live streaming is easy for you, but maybe like you said, for someone else, maybe a speaker they like to blog and maybe they send out
Right.
newsletters. Whatever you do consistently, that's what's going to build your brand because it's
Mhm.
repetition over and over and over again. Yeah.
And people are
Yeah.
gonna notice. One of the things that is amazing to me is that people always will come up to me and they say, "Well, you know what, Markeith? One thing that we can say about you is that you are consistent.
Mhm,
You are
mhm.
definitely consistent. You're out there." And what they don't know is that I have just mastered this art of being able to be in front of people using tools. Like I said, I love OneStream Live. I used to use Restream,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm
we have
just taking
resources.
that content that I've done before and I'll go back and add commercials into those,
Ah, that's a good
and then
idea.
replay them, as they are live. And with OneStream Live, it says you're live, and a lot of people think I'm live when they send me questions and this, but I'm not
Right,
even live.
but you just uploaded it.
I
Yeah.
just uploaded it. I have one
Mm.
that's happening at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time today, and I could
Oh
be
my
talking
god.
to somebody else.
I love it. This has been really good talking with you because it's
Yeah.
refreshing. I think speakers can be inspired to know that they have something in their heart that they want to do, be consistent with it,
Mhm.
understand the different models of business or the different streams of income that you can make from being a speaker. You
Right.
know, you help other speakers brand themselves. That's primarily one of the things that you do
Mhm.
as well. So explain that process. Is it just with
Sure.
speakers or is it with any type of subject matter expert?
No, so primarily I have worked over the years, as an entrepreneur, I've worked with many types, corporate professionals who want to get into speaking, coaching, and consulting. I've worked with other coaches who have hired me to be a part of their coaching team
That's a
for their
great thing.
clients and their communities. And so, what I have decided to do here recently is because I just feel alignment with it. It's basically who I was. Currently, now working with corporate professionals to build a profitable personal brand that replaces their corporate income.
Ah, I love that. That is
And it,
really we call this the gig economy or the
yeah,
freelancers economy, but a lot of people, if you've worked in a corporation, you've made six figures and they paid you six figures, you could be
right.
a consultant and do the same thing. And a lot of people, especially I would say maybe north of 50 for sure, when
Hmm.
they have a lot of things in their toolbox that they can pull out and use now, but they can do that, but they need the guidance in that of how to actually go after that. Government contracting is probably like a good place to start for someone who's been working in a corporation for years and they want to do whatever they've been doing. Go and
Yeah,
find an RFP with a government contract and then really fill that out. But they do need a personal brand. They do need to
that's it.
develop that. Yeah. Oh, that
And
is
just real quick, I have this process called the shine process. And
shine. I
this
love that.
helps with, you developing your personal brand. And so I'll go through that real quick. The first step is self-awareness. That
Mhm.
your personal brand really is birthed from your self-awareness. How
Yeah.
aware are you about your gifts, your talents, your expertise, your
Mhm.
skills, who you are, your character, all those things are part of your personal brand. The second step is you got to harness that expertise.
Ah,
You
yeah.
got to pull it in and you got to make sure that you have honed in on what that expertise is so that people will see it and know what it is that you should want to be known for. The
Mhm.
step is you got to invest in your brand, invest in
Ooh,
yourself.
that's it. That is so true. That
That's
is
self-explanatory. I don't even need to go any
oh my
deeper
god. I mean, we're
than
talking
that.
like books, we're talking programs, we're talking courses, we're talking conferences. Get in the
Yes.
room. Right, right,
Get
right.
in
Okay,
there.
alright,
The
alright.
next step is nurture your networks. One of
Mm,
the great things about podcasting is helped me to build a tremendous network of
yeah,
individuals around certain expertise that I can call on at any point in time because we did a 45-minute, an hour interview, right? And
yeah.
so, and they agreed to be on the show. So they found enough value to be on the show. So
Mhm.
that's an opportunity. And then the
Yeah.
last step is engage your audience. You got
Mm,
to find your consistent way that you're going to engage your audience. And what I do, I send a weekly email. I have the
oh,
podcast. I have the live streams. I have, things that I'm doing in the community speaking. And so, how will you engage your audience on a regular basis? And
mhm.
that is how we help you to build your personal brand and
And
shine.
shine, and
Yeah,
shine. I love that, shine. That's one of the things that says we shine like a superstar, right? You have
that's
to
right.
shine, and then also too, it's also scriptural, let your light shine. So
Let your
that's
light so shine.
yeah, that's one of my
That's
favorite.
so good, and that's really where I got it from. Let your light so shine that men or
Mhm.
women shall see your good work.
Yes,
Well,
yeah,
how you start shining is doing that
and don't
process.
hide it under a bushel,
That's
don't
it.
hide it under a bushel. because that is it.
Yeah.
And that's the other scripture there we're talking about. Don't be
Mhm.
the person that hides your talent and be that wicked person that's like,
Yeah.
have all the talents. Okay, if you
Yeah,
don't use
yeah.
them, you know what's gonna happen, right? So yeah, I always tell that to people. I says, it's like, I don't know, I want to do PR. I don't know if I really
Mhm.
ready to get out there. I was like, I said, it's a talent. You gotta shine it. You gotta
You gotta
get out there.
shine.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, Markeith, that is good. So people can go to markeithbraden.com. I have it up on the
Mhm.
screen, but for those that are listening, Markeith is it looks like Mark, but then also it's Keith. So it's
Yeah,
Markeith.
2
And they
names put together.
yeah, put 2 names put together. So that's a brand right there. So you can always
Yeah.
remember your name and then Braden.com. So they can
Mhm.
go there, sign up for your newsletter just to kind of check you out
Mhm.
and see what you're doing. And I will
Yeah.
follow up with you to make sure that you follow up and find Dr. Patricia Russell McLeod.
Yeah.
She's dynamite. And I always love the legends and I want them to know, how much they've impacted us or inspired us. She would
Mhm.
love to know that. She really, really would. That would be one of the cool things as well. So yeah. So
Awesome.
well, thank you so much for joining Speakers Magazine show. I am just so delighted. And I learned so much about you that I didn't know. I mean, I read the website and I read the
Mhm.
bio. Besides being an alpha man, I knew that as well. But just really understanding a little bit how your brand put together and where I can't wait to see where the next 10 years of your business is.
Yes,
You
me
know,
too.
Chat GPT will change everything. So we're not going
Look,
to
I'm
start there.
using it every day. I'm using it every day.
I know. So it's like, where is it going to be in 10 years from now? All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I will talk with you soon. All righty.
All
Take
right,
care.
take care. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm Pam Perry, and make sure that you go to markeithbraden.com so you can find out more about him, and then also to make sure that you get his newsletter. So with that, I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Thank you. See you later.